What exactly is at the bottom of the ocean? It's not the shallow waters, the crushing, lightless, freezing dark that begins 2,000 meters down and descends from there. Every single time a camera has gone deep enough to look, something has been there. Something enormous, ancient, or completely unknown. What you are about to see is what a camera found when it was lowered into that dark. Different creatures, different confirmed sightings, and by the time we reach the last one, you will never look at the ocean the same way again. The blunt-nosed six-gill shark. It has been on this planet for over 180 million years. It was already old when the dinosaurs first appeared, and until 2019, no human being had ever come close to it in its natural environment and lived to describe the encounter on camera. The blunt-nosed six-gill shark, Hexanchus griseus, is one of the oldest living shark lineages on Earth. It reaches 20 feet in length and weighs over 1,000 pounds. It has 6 gill slits instead of the 5 carried by every modern shark, a direct physical inheritance from an evolutionary period that ended over 100 million years ago. It spends its days in total darkness at depths of up to 2,000 meters, rising only at night to feed, then descending again before dawn, every single day for 80 years. In 2019, Ocean X sent a 3-person submarine called the Nader into the waters off the Bahamas with over 100 kilograms of bait, a tagging gun, and a camera. On night 4, a large female shark appeared from the silt. She was wider at her midsection than the hull of the submarine. She circled. She bumped the hull with her snout. She turned one enormous fluorescent eye directly at the camera. Patient, ancient, completely unbothered, and looked straight into the lens. One researcher, barely audible on the recording, said, "This is a monster." They were not wrong. They were face to face with an animal that predated their entire species by 179 million years. An animal that science had theorized but never properly seen. An animal so perfectly adapted to its environment that evolution had found no reason to change it for longer than mammals have existed. The six-gill was frightening because of its size. The next creature on this list is frightening for a completely different reason. It should not exist. The giant squid. For 3 centuries, sailors reported it. They described a creature that could wrap its arms around a full-size ship and pull it under. Norse mythology called it the Kraken. 19th century zoologists called those sailors liars. Then beaks kept showing up inside sperm whale stomachs. Beaks the size of a man's fist, too large to belong to any squid science had cataloged. And then the scars started appearing on whale skin, circular marks the width of a human palm arranged in clusters across the whale's head and flanks, left by suction cups, left by something that had been fighting back. The giant squid, Archaeoteuthis dux, can grow to 40 feet in length. It has eyes the size of dinner plates, the largest eyes of any animal on Earth. It has 8 arms and 2 longer hunting tentacles, each lined with suction cups rimmed with sharp ridges. It exists in every ocean on the planet, and it was not filmed alive in its natural habitat until 2012. In June of 2019, marine biologist Eddie Witter deployed a camera called the Medusa into the Gulf of Mexico, 100 miles southeast of New Orleans. The Medusa uses red light, invisible to most deep-sea creatures, and a lure that mimics the bioluminescent glow of a dying jellyfish. On its 5th deployment, 2,500 feet down, the camera recorded something approaching from the dark. Tentacles first, then the full body. The squid wrapped itself briefly around the camera, realized it was not food, and thrust backwards into the blackness. The encounter lasted less than 30 seconds. It was the first confirmed footage of a giant squid in United States waters. The second time in all recorded history, the animal had been caught on camera in the wild, 100 meters from one of the largest cities in America. We know the giant squid exists now. What we have not yet confirmed on camera is something considerably larger, and it has been leaving its mark on whale skin for centuries.
The colossal squid. In 1925, a scientist found a pair of tentacle fragments inside a sperm whale's stomach. They were too large to belong to the giant squid. They belonged to something else, something that at that moment had never been seen alive by any human being on Earth. It would stay that way for exactly 100 years. The colossal squid, Mesonicus hamiltoni, is the heaviest invertebrate on the planet. It reaches 23 feet in length and weighs over 1,000 pounds. Unlike the giant squid, it does not grow long and slender. It grows dense and powerful, with rotating hooks on its tentacles instead of serrated suction cups, and a beak built for tearing through flesh rather than gripping. Its eyes measure nearly 11 inches across, the largest eyes of any animal known to science, and they evolved specifically to detect the faint bioluminescent glow of approaching sperm whales in total darkness, giving the squid time to flee. On the 9th of March 2025, a remotely operated vehicle called Sebastian was descending through the South Atlantic Ocean near the South Sandwich Islands. At 600 meters, nearly 2,000 feet down, a transparent shape drifted into the camera's view. About a foot long, ghost white, completely still. One of the scientists monitoring the live stream sent a screenshot to an independent squid expert. The expert looked at it, then he began hyperventilating. The hooks on the arms, the body shape, the iridescent eyes. It was a juvenile colossal squid, the first confirmed footage of the species alive in its natural habitat. In the 100 years since it was formally named from the wreckage inside a whale's stomach, Dr. Kat Bolstad, one of the scientists who confirmed the footage, said it was humbling to think the animal had no idea humans existed. For 100 years, she said, we had mainly encountered them as prey remains, as evidence, as damage. The adult colossal squid is still never been filmed. It lives deeper, it is larger, and it has eyes designed to see us before we see it. The colossal squid hid for a century by going deeper. The next creature on this list hid by doing something far stranger. It hid by looking exactly like nothing at all. The Apelius siphonophore. In April of 2020, researchers aboard the Schmidt-Ocean Institute's research vessel Fowler were exploring submarine canyons off the coast of Western Australia. Their robot descended to around 2,000 feet, and its cameras picked up something drifting through the water column. It looked at first like a very long piece of rope. It was not a rope. It was an Apelius siphonophore, a colonial creature made up of thousands of genetically identical clones, each specialized for a different function, all strung together into a single extended body. Some clones propel it, some digest food, some hunt, some reproduce. None can survive alone. Together, they form something that operates as one organism, with no brain, no heart, and no centralized nervous system, and yet coordinates with a precision that outperforms most animals that have all three. The outer ring of this particular specimen measured approximately 150 feet, the longest animal ever confirmed on camera in recorded scientific history. Longer than a blue whale, longer than anything. It was coiled in a slow spiral, a hunting formation, spreading its stinging tentacles across a wide disc to maximize the area it could sweep for prey. It was not drifting, it was working, and it was living in a marine park that had been studied and monitored for decades, 2,000 feet below the surface of waters that research vessels cross regularly. The siphonophore was enormous, but harmless. The next creature on this list is the same size and is anything but.
The giant oarfish. In Japan, it is called Ryugu Nutsukai, the messenger from the sea god's palace. When one washes ashore, coastal communities brace for disaster. Earthquake coming, tsunami on the way. The sea god has sent his warning up from the depths. This is the oarfish, the longest bony fish on Earth. It grows to a confirmed length of 36 feet. Some researchers believe specimens over 50 feet may exist. It is silver ribbon-thin with a crimson dorsal fin running the full length of its body, and long trailing pelvic fins that float behind it like streamers. It has no scales, no conventional teeth. It swims vertically, head toward the surface, tail trailing downward, moving only by rippling that scarlet fin in slow, undulating waves. Every sea serpent sighting in the history of every ocean-going culture on Earth now has a single elegant explanation: the oarfish, an animal that looks from the surface exactly like a massive, glowing, undulating sea monster, because it is one. It was not filmed alive in its natural deep-sea habitat until 2010, when a remotely operated vehicle working a survey in the Gulf of Mexico captured footage of one at a depth of over 1,500 feet.
The video confirmed what the sea serpent accounts had been describing all along: an upright posture, a rippling motion, a creature of impossible scale moving through open water as if it belonged there. Because it does. It has always belonged there. We just refuse to believe it existed. The earthquake connection has never been scientifically confirmed, but the strandings keep happening. Before the Tohoku disaster in 2011, over a dozen oarfish washed ashore on affected coastlines. Before earlier disasters in the Philippines, the sea god keeps sending messages. Science keeps saying it is coincidence, and the fish keeps appearing. The next creature on this list is terrifying because of its age and what that age implies. The Greenland shark. Somewhere in the North Atlantic right now, there is a shark that was alive before Shakespeare was born. Not a descendant, the same shark. Still swimming, still hunting, slowly. The Greenland shark, Somniosus microcephalus, is the longest-lived vertebrate on Earth. Using radiocarbon dating in proteins in the islands that form before birth and never change, scientists have measured individual animals at between 272 and 512 years of age. The largest confirmed individual was approximately 392 years old. She was born during the reign of Charles I. She was alive during the American Revolution. She is almost certainly still alive today. She grows about 1 centimeter per year. She reaches sexual maturity at around 150 years old. She tops out at roughly 20 feet and 1,200 pounds. She is effectively blind. A parasitic crustacean called Omatoa elongata attaches to her cornea early in life and clouds it permanently with scar tissue. She navigates the darkness of the North Atlantic without functioning vision, by smell, by electroreception, by a slow, patient awareness of the water around her that no instrument we have built can replicate. She is one of the Arctic's top predators. Her stomach has been found to contain whole seals, portions of polar bears that fell through ice, and at least once, a caribou. Blind, slow, patient, utterly lethal. She was not filmed alive in the wild with any regularity until 2015, when researchers from Memorial University of Newfoundland dropped baited cameras into the waters of the Canadian Arctic and found them waiting at 80% of all camera deployments. The oldest animals on Earth, in waters nobody had thought to look.
The whale shark. It is the largest fish on Earth. It is completely harmless, and there is an entire gathering of them that science cannot fully explain. The whale shark, Rhinocodon typus, reaches an average length of around 40 feet, with the largest confirmed individuals approaching 60. It weighs approximately 21 tons. Its mouth is 5 feet wide, and it feeds by opening that mouth and swimming forward, filtering thousands of gallons of water an hour through plates behind its jaws, straining out tiny fish eggs, krill, and plankton. It is the size of a school bus, and it eats things you can barely see. Every year between late October and early February, whale sharks gather in the waters off the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. In peak years, researchers have counted over 400 individual whale sharks in a single area, the largest known gathering of whale sharks on Earth. Nobody fully understands why they choose this location. Satellite tags have followed individuals across entire ocean basins, disappearing into depths that exceed the tag's pressure tolerance, surfacing weeks later, thousands of miles away with no record of the journey between. Divers who have entered the water alongside a whale shark describe the experience uniformly. They say the scale makes everything else in the water disappear. They say there is a moment when the shark turns and its eye finds theirs that feels less like an encounter with an animal and more like being assessed. The sperm whale. It is the largest predator on Earth. It has the biggest brain of any animal that has ever lived. It dives to over 3,000 meters and holds its breath for 90 minutes, and its skin tells stories that science cannot fully read. The sperm whale, Physeter macrocephalus, reaches 67 feet in length and weighs up to 45 tons. Its head accounts for a third of its total body length and contains the spermaceti organ,
a cavity filled with waxy oil that the whale uses to focus and amplify its echolocation clicks into some of the loudest biological sounds ever recorded. Those clicks stun prey at range. They navigate absolute darkness, and they communicate in a system of patterns called codas, in a way that researchers now believe constitutes a form of culture transmitted between whales across generations. The sperm whale is the primary predator of the colossal squid and the giant squid. It descends into depths no camera has followed it to, and fights battles in the dark that leave marks on its skin, circular wounds, hook gouges, and parallel scars from encounters with animals that no researcher has observed. The largest scars do not match any squid in the scientific record. They belong to something not yet identified. In 2024, researchers documented sperm whale culture for the first time using AI, identifying a complex combinatorial system of clicks that functions structurally like language. The ocean's apex predator is using something that resembles language, and it is directing that language, at least in part, toward the darkness below.
The deep-sea anglerfish. It carries a light on its forehead, produced by bioluminescent bacteria living inside a fleshy lure hanging from a modified spine above its mouth. In total darkness at depths of 1,000 meters or more, that light is the only visible thing for hundreds of feet in any direction. And it is not a light to see by, it is a light to be seen by. This is the deep-sea anglerfish. There are over 200 species. What they share is the lure, the enormous gaping mouth lined with translucent inward curving teeth, and a biology so extreme it barely makes sense. Female anglerfish can reach 3 feet in length. Males are rarely more than an inch long. When a male finds a female, he bites into her body and fuses, dissolving his own skin and connecting his bloodstream to hers. His eyes atrophy. His fins disappear. Every independent organ he has vanishes. He becomes permanently a sperm-producing appendage on the female's body. Multiple males can fuse to a single female simultaneously. She is by any definition a chimera, multiple animals merged into one. In 2025, an anglerfish was filmed swimming near the surface off the Canary Islands in broad daylight. Marine biologists noted it was among the first confirmed footage of the species at that depth. Most anglerfish footage comes from ROVs at 1,000 meters or more. This one was close to the surface in daylight, visible, and it looked to everyone who saw it exactly like a nightmare made real. The anglerfish hunts with light in a world of total darkness. The next and final creature on this list lives even deeper, moves even slower, and is even older. And it is by every measure we have the most successful predator that has ever lived. The Pacific sleeper shark. In January of 2025, a research team from the Minderoo UWA Deep Sea Research Center deployed a baited camera lander near the South Shetland Islands off the Antarctic Peninsula. The camera descended to approximately 490 meters, about 1,600 feet, in water just above freezing. What appeared on the footage was unexpected, a large shark moving slowly through the frame. Estimated at 3 to 4 meters in length, confirmed as a member of the sleeper shark family, the same family as the Greenland shark, almost certainly a southern sleeper shark, Sumniosus antarcticus. It was the first confirmed footage of a shark of any species in Antarctic waters, ever. Sleeper sharks had been recorded in sub-Antarctic regions around South Georgia, around Macquarie Island, but never in the Antarctic itself. Never in waters where temperatures dropped to below freezing and where most sharks simply cannot physiologically survive. This one was there, moving calmly, unbothered, at home. The Pacific sleeper shark, the largest member of the family, reaches lengths of over 20 feet and weights approaching a ton. Like the Greenland shark, it is virtually blind. Like the Greenland shark, it is extraordinarily longevate.
Like the Greenland shark, it lives in cold, deep water, rises at night, and descends by day. And like the Greenland shark, its stomach has been found to contain things that should not be there. Whole seals, portions of whales, the remains of animals that should be faster, stronger, and better equipped to survive. The sleeper shark does not chase. It does not sprint. It is too slow to catch anything that is paying attention, and yet its stomach is full. Researchers believe it finds prey that is sleeping, seals resting at depth, whales in their slow drifting rest. It descends in the dark without a sound, guided by senses that have no human equivalent, and it arrives at the exact moment and location where something has let its guard down. It has been doing this for over 150 million years, and we just confirmed it exists in Antarctica. What do you think is still down there? Tell us in the comments. And if videos like this intrigue you, like and sure you like, and subscribe.